This month on Connections, we begin our trip around Chicagoland with a fishing expedition at the Shed Aquarium. Next, we'll tell you about a pilot program that puts CTA customers in the driver's seat. Our travels on the Red Line will take us to a community best described with one word: eclectic. Our destination, Rogers Park. As we make our way back downtown, we'll update you on a capital improvement project that has every CTA train in the system now running on third rail power. We'll arrive downtown for a review of Chicago's downtown theater district. Word is, it's a hit. A short bus ride and we're on the steps of an art lover's paradise. The Museum of Contemporary Art is our last stop. So why not get out and explore our city on the CTA? Glad you've joined us. I'm Dale Rivera. Welcome to Connections, where you can learn all about using the CTA in and around Chicago. The number 146 Inner Drive Michigan Express bus has dropped us off here at the museum campus, on the doorstep of Chicago's most popular cultural attraction. But its popularity extends far beyond Chicago's borders, attracting over 2 million visitors from around the world each year. The Shed Aquarium is our first stop. Melissa Holland's journey to her job at Chicago's Shed Aquarium starts off each day on board the CTA.
I've taken the CTA since I've lived here for about 4 years, and it's just been great. It's very convenient. It gets me everywhere, so I love it.
Heading south on the Red Line, Melissa hops off the CTA at Roosevelt Station. Just blocks away from Museum Campus, Roosevelt's transfer tunnel celebrates the nearby aquarium's creatures of the sea.
At that point, I can either walk over to Museum Campus or I can jump on the number 12 bus, which takes me right to my front door.
And what a front door it is. The Shed Aquarium dates back to 1930. Over the years, as its collection of aquatic life has grown, so has the number of visitors. Today, it's Chicago's #1 cultural attraction, with fans coming from all over to take a dive into the sea.
What's great about it is it kind of gives people from the Midwest that might not have access to oceans and seas, a chance to really see marine and aquatic life close up.
Up close and personal is what it's all about at the Shed. And there are 19,000 aquatic animals that you can see, including Nemo! Yes, Nemo, along with Dory and Bruce the shark, are all here, along with a few other fins maybe you aren't familiar with, like Bubba the Queensland grouper, who lives in the Shed's Wild Reef exhibit.
He was actually left in a bucket on our front stairs about 17 years ago with a note saying that he had merely just gotten too big for someone's home aquarium. And he's a crowd favorite and the kids love him.
The Wild Reef has floor-to-ceiling views which allow you to come face-to-face with many animals, as well as their keepers. But it's just one of the attractions at the world's largest indoor aquarium. Another takes you back above sea level. The Shed's Oceanarium, with its stadium seating, is the best place to watch the white-sided dolphins strut their stuff.
I'm really good at interacting with the dolphins.
Enjoying aquatic animals is what it's all about at the Shed. And now there's even a special exhibit for kids, the Sea Star Quest, where they can have a hands-on experience with sea life.
It gives them a chance to get to know sea stars and echinoderms, which are sea urchins, sand dollars, sea cucumbers, and the kids will actually get to get in, put their hands in a tide pool and get to feel what these creatures from the deep feel like.
So whether you want to see a small clownfish or a big beluga, there's something for everyone at the Shed Aquarium.
People are fascinated with oceans and deep sea and fish and marine mammals, so when they leave here, we hope they just have a greater understanding and appreciation of it.
Just like Melissa, you'll find that your journey to the Shed Aquarium is easy on the CTA. Here's how we can take you there. Remember, a short trip on the CTA can take you thousands of leagues under the sea at the Shed Aquarium. Southside commuters, take note. A new CTA Park and Ride facility has just opened off the south branch of the Green Line at Garfield Station. The parking facility is open 24 hours a day, and it can hold up to 117 cars. Customers can pay using a new electronic fare collection system.
Customers will be pleased with a convenient and affordable option now available in the heart of this community.
The opening of the Garfield Park and Ride means the CTA now has 17 parking lots and more than 6,000 parking spaces. This new facility is just another way the CTA is working to accommodate customers. Worried about what to buy that special someone this holiday season? How about a gift from the CTA? The CTA's Gift Express has something for everyone on your list, from CTA hats, shirts, and ties to ornaments, cufflinks, and coffee mugs celebrating Chicago's transit agency. The CTA has also just released its own shower curtain, which means you can map out your journey while sudsing up. You can find this colorful curtain and all other CTA merchandise at Gift Express on the CTA's website at www.transitchicago.com or by visiting the CTA's new sales center at 567 West Lake Street, just west of downtown.
We're at Roosevelt Station, jumping on the Red Line northbound. Public transportation is often the easiest and most efficient way to go, but every now and then you might find yourself in need of a car. Now CTA customers who need one for a couple hours or a day can get a car. All you need is a little basic training.
When it comes to transportation, you could say Morris Floyd is one Chicago resident who has it all. Not only is he a regular, dedicated customer of the CTA, he's also a member of IGO, which puts him right behind the wheel whenever he needs a car.
We use the IGO car when we're going to go on a shopping trip where the load coming back will be substantial. In an evening or a weekend afternoon, we'd get in the car and make several stops, most likely at the grocery store and at Home Depot, and then back home. We usually use the car for 2 or 3 hours.
By logging on to the IGO website, members can choose the car they want to rent, where they want to pick it up, and for how long. And the best part, it's an economical $6 an hour plus 50 cents per mile. IGO cars are located throughout the city, and now that the CTA is involved in a pilot program, IGO is even more convenient. 5 IGO cars are now parked next to or near the CTA's blue, brown, and red lines.
You could take the CTA to get to your IGO car, use it, do your business, bring the car back, take the CTA back home. Basically the mission is to help folks to give up their cars and to get around the city by mass transportation.
By partnering with IGO, the CTA is helping to provide an alternative to private car ownership, which not only reduces traffic congestion, it also increases the use of public transit.
What studies have shown is that members of car sharing programs actually increase their transit use, and it's a great alternative to private ownership of a car. So if CTA is interested in getting people out of cars and onto transit, working in a partnership with the IGO car sharing program is a great way to go.
Becoming a member of IGO costs a one-time $75, and once you've signed up, you're issued a smart card, which allows you to unlock and start the IGO cars. For people like Morris, there are other advantages to IGO besides convenience. He saves a lot of money by not owning a car.
Even allowing for the cost of using the IGO car, which we spend maybe $100 or $150 a month, the cost of CTA passes, and the cost of an occasional taxi, that still comes out probably half of what it would cost to own and keep a car in the city.
For more information on the IGO program, you can call IGO at 1-773-278-4IGO or log on to www.igocars.org. No matter where or when you need to go, the CTA, together with IGO, can make your travels easier. And Morris Floyd thinks others should give it a try.
So it's great to be able to depend on the CTA for regular trips to work or to school, that kind of thing, and to use the IGO car at times when you just really need a car.
If you have a desire to travel and experience all the culture the world has to offer, just jump on the CTA's Red Line and head to the Loyola stop. Just steps away, you'll find the world at your fingertips in what many feel is one of the most diverse neighborhoods in the city. Our destination? Rogers Park.
Imagine living close to Chicago's lakefront, in a place richly diverse culturally and economically, where there's shopping and restaurants around every corner. That place really exists. On Chicago's most northerly edge, it's the neighborhood of Rogers Park. To educate us about this eclectic community is Mark Roth of CenterStageChicago.com, an internet site devoted to taking web surfers around the city on a virtual L.
So Mark, what makes Rogers Park such a great destination?
Well, I'd have to say it's probably the eclectic mix and diversity around here of the populations. Gives you a lot of different things to do, plus you're only 10 miles north of the Loop. So between Loyola University and the campus life that's there and the Indian and Pakistani community that's on Devon Avenue, you've got the beatnik hipster element that's right on Sheridan Road near really good beach access up on the eastern side.
Of course, for students, there's a diversity of academic subjects to choose from at Loyola University. Loyola University Chicago is ranked as one of the best values around for higher education. Located on the shores of Lake Michigan in the heart of Rogers Park, Loyola has more than 14,000 students from around the world.
They're attracted to Loyola because it is in a diverse urban environment and they want that cosmopolitan feel.
Students and visitors alike can take in the beauty of the lakefront and even find inspiration from some of Loyola's architectural treasures.
Architecture buffs should definitely check out Mundelein Center, which is a 1920s Art Deco building that's on the National Register of Historic Places. As well, they should look at Madonna della Strada Chapel and Cudahy Library, both of which are historic places of interest according to the City of Chicago.
To get a closer look at the history of Rogers Park, there's one place that has it all. The Rogers Park West Ridge Historical Society has documented the growth of Rogers Park.
Our mission for the Historical Society is to gather and preserve the history of this area. And over the last 29 years, we've gathered over 7,000 photos going back to the 1870s.
In 1893, Rogers Park was officially annexed to the city of Chicago. Before and ever since that time, immigrants from around the world have made this area north of Chicago their home.
There was originally mostly European settlers, and then over the years, like more recently, there's been a lot more of the Orthodox Jews. There's been burgeoning of the Indian and Pakistani community out on Devon, which is why Rogers Park is one of the most culturally diverse neighborhoods in Chicago, if not America.
Devon is the perfect avenue to take for that multicultural experience you won't soon forget. There are so many Indian and Pakistani restaurants you won't know where to begin. And sprinkled throughout are Russian establishments and Jewish bakeries. But that's not all.
Besides probably 20 million different little electronic shops where you can buy stuff wholesale and gray market. And I know people who come up here from downtown just to get the ethnic groceries.
Devon Avenue, Loyola, and everything else there is to see in Rogers Park can be accessed by the CTA. Here's how.
There's so many things to do, you're going to keep busy the whole time. Between Devon Avenue, the lake, Rogers Park, Loyola, you've got so many options, you can't do anything but have a good time.
So whether you're a student or just a visitor, Rogers Park can be an education in history, culture, and fun. And to take you there, catch a ride on the CTA.
We're about to head south on the Red Line on our way to our last stop, the Museum of Contemporary Art. But if we took the Red Line north, we could link up with the CTA's Yellow Line. Until recently, it was the only CTA rail line to be powered by an overhead cabling system. But now, the Yellow Line is running on third rail power. And with third rail power, you just may notice a difference in the ride from the moment you step on board.
When the CTA switched the power source on the Yellow Line from catenary lines above the rail cars to a third rail along the tracks, CTA customers like Mariana Vargas noticed an improvement in service right away.
It's a lot more reliable. The ride's a lot more smoother and faster.
Third Rail Power has now replaced catenary lines along a 4-mile portion of the Yellow Line from Dempster, where the Skokie station is located, to Crawford. It was the only stretch of the CTA's rail system that was not powered by Third Rail Power. The CTA now has greater flexibility to use rail cars interchangeably on the Yellow Line and the rest of the system. But there are other benefits as well.
The service interruption we used to have with the catenary lines, there is a problem with them freezing up in the winter and when there's a sleet storm. And with the Third Rail, we won't have that problem. There are other advantages that include the fact that we can use any rail car on our system on this line as opposed to being limited to just those cars that were designed for the old catenary system.
Since the Third Rail began powering the Yellow Line earlier this fall, the CTA has reminded residents and businesses near the newly converted track to never make contact with any CTA rail, even if a train is not coming. It is safe, however, to cross tracks only at designated crossings where there is no third rail. It's important to remember that the third rail is electrified or alive at all times.
It is for that reason that we want everyone to stay away from all of the rails. We don't want any contact with any rails for their safety.
The third rail runs along all of the CTA tracks. It sits about 1 foot above the ground next to the running rails. Each rail car has contact shoes that are lowered onto the third rail to collect the 600 volts of electricity used to move, light, heat, and cool the train. The CTA's safety message doesn't just apply to the more than 222 miles of track, but on CTA platforms too. Customers should always remember to stand behind the blue tactile edging, and if an object ever falls on the tracks, ask for help.
We want them to dial *1 from a public phone that's on every platform. That will get them to a CTA employee who can quickly retrieve that item for them.
Now that the third rail efficiently powers all of the CTA's trains, whether you're riding the Yellow Line or any of the CTA's other 6 lines, always remember, never make contact with the third rail or any other part of the track. The CTA wants everyone to be safe and enjoy their trip.
You've probably heard about the CTA's funding crisis, and that the state legislature is being asked to change the way transit is funded. But it's not too late for those who care about maintaining a healthy, vibrant transit system to get involved.
Whether you use public transportation or drive, you may be seeing signs. Signs that encourage commuters in the Chicago region to head to the web to educate themselves about a transit funding crisis that could impact the entire region. By logging on to www.keepchicagolandmoving.com, commuters can learn more about the CTA's push for fair funding. For 2 decades, funding for public transit has been based on a formula that is tied to geographic boundaries and retail spending, rather than on transit performance measures such as ridership and service. Since the establishment of the funding formula, the CTA's purchasing power has steadily decreased because its funding has not kept up with inflation. That's added up to $1.5 billion in lost subsidy. So now the Illinois General Assembly is being asked to review the way it funds public transportation.
Every 6 years, the federal government looks at how they fund transportation because they know that demands change, supply changes, regional demographics shift. So all we're saying is that the General Assembly hasn't looked at this funding since 1983. It makes sense that after 20 years, they should take a look and see what has changed in this region, and they'll notice that a lot has changed, and maybe what we need to do is look at how we're funding transportation in the region.
Based on the RTA's recommendation, CTA President Frank Kruse has proposed 2 budget scenarios for 2005. One that anticipates additional funding necessary to maintain current service levels, and another that does not.
Without adequate funding, CTA will have no choice but to dramatically restructure its service in order to achieve a balanced budget.
If the General Assembly fails to approve additional transit funding, it will have a dramatic impact on the region. CTA service could be cut by as much as 20%, resulting in more cars on our already congested highways and more crowded buses and trains. Hundreds of CTA customers concerned about the CTA's proposed budgets for 2005 have testified at 4 public hearings. And now you can voice your concerns to state legislators and ask for their support of fair transit funding. Just visit the website, keepchicagolandmoving.com, for more information.
If there is to be a solution to the chronic funding problems for transit, it will be at the state level. We have a choice. It is a stark one. I recommend we choose a strong transit network with continued opportunities for growth.
We're transferring to the Brown Line, on our way to the Loop, one of the city's most vibrant neighborhoods. It's where people work, live, eat, stay, and play. Amid the apartments, offices, hotels, and restaurants are some of the finest theaters in the country. And remember, taking the CTA to Chicago's downtown theater district is a great way to ensure that your theater plans stay on track.
For more than 150 years, theatergoers have flocked to Chicago's Loop to catch the latest plays, shows, movies, and Broadway hits. And the tradition continues today as the downtown theater district is still Chicago's center stage.
Art is a part of the fabric of life in this city and in our society. That's part of what makes Chicago a world-class city, is to have such a lively art scene. And you wouldn't have a lively downtown without a lively theater scene as well.
Stepping back to the days of vaudeville when Chicago's theater district was centered mostly around Randolph Street, this was the place to be for entertainment.
All the theaters downtown, obviously from that time period, burned in the Great Chicago Fire. But then coming right back after the fire and up through the 20s, there were over a dozen theaters right downtown, mostly focused on Randolph Street.
One of Chicago's most majestic theaters from the 19th century still stands. That's Roosevelt University's historic Auditorium Theater. Built in 1889 by famed architects Adler and Sullivan, the theater is known for its stunning architecture and perfect acoustics.
The Auditorium Theater itself was the first theater in the United States to use all-electric lighting, and it was also the first theater to use air conditioning.
Over the decades, the Auditorium Theater hosted politicians and even served as a bowling alley. But now it's back to being a premier stage for Broadway shows, famous performers, and renowned dance companies. Strolling through the downtown theater district, you can't help but come across one of the city's newest landmarks, the Goodman Theater. The Goodman moved to its home on Dearborn 4 years ago, but it's been around a lot longer. The theater was founded in Chicago in 1925, and it remains a homegrown company that works to attract a diverse audience.
We have a wide range of artists who work at the Goodman, and we try to do as many different types of plays as possible, from culturally diverse works to works that are experimental or new plays or musicals.
The Goodman's popularity is only increasing since Time magazine named the Goodman the best regional theater in the nation in 2003. In addition to prominent theaters, there are smaller stages in the Loop that are run by the City of Chicago, like the Loop Theater, the Storefront Theater, or the Studio Theater. All of these locations help make theater accessible to everyone.
I would really encourage people to come out to theater and sort of be touched and experiencing stories that they never would have maybe had access to if they hadn't come to the theater.
The best way to get to the downtown theater district is on the CTA. In fact, it's so convenient that not only do patrons of the arts ride the CTA, so do theater employees like Stephanie Neuhauser.
I encourage people to take the CTA all the time. It's so much more convenient, and yeah, you save money on parking and you're not stuck in traffic. It's just so much easier.
So next time you're heading downtown for an evening of culture and entertainment, be sure to let the CTA take you there.
We're getting on the number 22 Clark Street bus heading north. If you've ever ridden this route, or any CTA bus route for that matter, you can only imagine how challenging a bus operator's job is. There are countless men and women at the CTA who do the job and do it well. But only one can hold the title of the very best. This year, that one is Jairo Naranjo, keeping CTA customers on the move.
CTA customers on board Jairo Naranjo's bus are riding with the best operator in town. In fact, he's so skilled behind the wheel that he took first place in bus operations at the CTA's annual Roadeo Jamboree. So how did Jairo win big? For him, the competition was just another day on the job.
What I do is when I'm in that course, I visualize that course as being on my route, and I'm always as safe as possible. So as long as I keep that going while I'm competing, I hope to become another winner again someday.
Jairo's only been a CTA bus operator for 4 years, so he made everyone at his home base, the CTA's Forest Glen Garage, very proud when he brought home first prize.
I'm really excited about it. Number one, he truly is a nice person, comes across as a very caring person, and I think that that's really excited when somebody like that wins.
The competition was tough at this year's rodeo. 32 bus operators battled it out for the title of champion on a course that involved tricky maneuvers in very tight spaces.
It's kind of like a race course, but you actually don't race through it. You're actually maneuvering the bus through these cones as close as possible, trying to collect as many points as possible.
Jairo not only excelled in operating a bus, during the competition, he also impressed judges with his customer service skills. 2/3 of the CTA's customers are riding buses, so relating well to customers is extremely important.
Right now, one of the driving forces is making sure that the customer has their satisfaction and their needs met. We've spent a lot more time in training now on those type of skills.
Of course, one of the main reasons Jairo likes his job at the CTA is because of his interaction with customers, and it certainly shows.
He's been commended by numerous employees for his courtesy and his caring. It shows too in terms of what he did in the competition.
So if you hop on board the CTA and see Jairo in the operator's seat, be sure to say congratulations on a job well done.
Chicago is home to many fine museums, including one dedicated solely to the art of our time. The Museum of Contemporary Art is our last stop.
Works by Andy Warhol, Alexander Calder, as well as several Chicago artists can be seen at one of the city's most prominent museums, the Museum of Contemporary Art. The collections and exhibitions at the Museum of Contemporary Art, or MCA, span from 1945 to the present. Founded in 1967, the MCA is a place where art lovers can see something new on just about every visit, as its galleries are always changing.
Every 3 months or so, we're changing over, so you can come back again and again and again and be sure that you're going to see different things.
One highlight this month at the MCA is an exhibition featuring contemporary artists from China.
Very exciting to see what these contemporary artists in China are doing. Kind of an unknown population. I haven't had that many opportunities to have their work seen in the West and in America particularly.
Just one block from Michigan Avenue, the MCA is a popular attraction. And you can get here easily as well as inexpensively on the CTA.
Parking down here is tough and expensive, and the CTA can cut out on that.
The number 66 Chicago Avenue bus will take us to the MCA, where we'll kick off our December episode. I'm Dale Rivera. See you next time on Connections.
For more information about the CTA or to use the RTA's trip planner, visit our website at www.transitchicago.com. Or for customer service matters, call 1-888-YOUR-CTA. For travel information, call the RTA at 836-7000 from anywhere in the Chicago area.